under the dim moonlight, filtered through a misty veil. An old wooden house stood desolate in a barren field. Its rotting walls looked like festering wounds of time. No one remembered when it was built, only that it had been abandoned for decades, with wild grass growing over the roof, and tangled vines choking the shattered windows. Beside the house was an ancient well, its moss-covered stones crumbling, the water below black and stagnant like a bottomless pit. The elders said that on windy nights, sighs and moans would echo from the well, sending chills down the spine. Once, a curious child dropped a stone into the well, instead of the usual plop sound. He heard eerie giggles echoing up, plunging the village into months of fear. No one dared approach the house. Even during daylight, those who tried said they saw figures gliding past the broken windows, or grimy hands reaching up from the well, waving silently. Some heard furious knocks on the door at midnight, only to open it to a vast, chilling darkness. The strangest thing was the road that ran past the house. Although straight and empty, accidents kept happening. Motorcycles crashed into trees, cars veered into the fields, pedestrians slipped and fell, right by the ancient well. Villagers whispered that lost souls haunted the house and the well, luring wandering spirits to join their eternal loneliness. At night, from afar, one could still see a faint light, flickering in the broken windows, as if the house had never truly been abandoned, only lying in wait for the next soul brave, or foolish, enough to enter. Silence over the mountain night. Hà Giang, January 2011. The Highland night spilled down into the small valley of Tan Thuy commune. Houses lay sunken among silver-hued misty forests, with only faint lights flickering from the home of Dang Tan Dong. A gentle man, a former soldier who now farmed and fixed electrical appliances for locals. His wife, Du Thi Yen, was a hard-working, kind-hearted woman raising their family. Their eldest daughter, Dang Thi Huyen, had just turned 16, a bright, quiet, and very polite girl. The villagers often praised them. The Dong family are good people. They never wrong anyone, but sometimes, goodness is not enough to shield against evil. Darkness born from alcohol and jealousy. Nguyen Van De, 25, had frequent brushes with the law. After years of a reckless life, he returned to the village with a cold, sullen gaze. Alongside him was his cousin, Nguyen Van Noi, 19, a withdrawn young man who had dropped out of school early, deeply influenced by his ill-reputed relative. One day, while drinking by the stream, De growled, "That Dong family, they live too well. They have everything, while we scrape by." He took a long drag on his cigarette, then turned to Noi. "We need to take back what's ours." That night, under the heavy mist, two shadowy figures crept through the woods, gripping a wooden club and a knife, their eyes dark with malice. The night shattered. On the night of January 20th, 2011, Nguyen Van Noi, b. 1992, and Nguyen Van De, b. 1986, both from Tan Tien Hamlet, Phuong Du Commune, Hà Giang City, set out to the home of Dang Tan Dong, b. 1968, in Tan Son Hamlet, Tan Thuy Commune, V Suyen District, with the intention of murdering his family to rob them. Arriving too early and fearing exposure, they retreated to a roadside shop, drank half a liter of alcohol, then reworked their plan in a deserted field. At 11:30 p.m., they returned to Dong's house, savagely beat him with a wooden club until he collapsed motionless, then kicked his body down toward the riverbank. They broke into the house, summoned Du Thi Yen, b. 1972, and brutally attacked her head and face. Yen tried to run and cried out, "Robbery! Robbery!" but the sound died midway. She fell into the darkness, and they beat her repeatedly until she lay still. Meanwhile, young Huyen, born January 8, 1995, terrified by the noise, froze in her room, only to face a horror beyond any nightmare. Without need for graphic detail. Know this, the monsters violated the 16-year-old girl, stripping her innocence away amid desperate, heartrending cries. After the assault, De spread ash and oil to cover Yen's bloodstains. When checking the riverbank and finding Dong still breathing, De hacked his head with a knife. Then smashed it with a rock until he died. Returning to the house, they tied Huyen's hands and feet, threatening her to reveal the family's safe code. Huyen, who knew nothing, answered, "I don't know." Each time, they severed one of her fingers, mutilating both of her hands entirely. In acts of pure, monstrous cruelty, when no information was gained, they stuffed cloth into Huyen's mouth, threw Dong's corpse into a sack, and carried it toward a drainage canal. Hearing Huyen's muffled cries, they went back, stuffed more cloth into her mouth, then hurled her down the ancient well. They dumped stones, motorcycle parts, and sacks of fertilizer atop her, intending to bury her alive. They retrieved Yen's body and threw it down the well too. To ensure Huyen was dead, De ordered Noi to climb down and slash Huyen's head, neck, and face, severing her left wrist. Only after confirming her death did they cover the well with a large pan, fled up the hill, and divided their loot, 3 mobile phones and 7 million VND, about $350 USD. By then, it was 5 a.m. on January 21st. They hailed a taxi and escaped. 3 days later, Noi was captured. The next evening, De was arrested. Autopsy results from Hà Giang Forensic Organization confirmed. All 3 victims died from brain trauma and blood loss. Huyen suffered multiple injuries. A cry from beyond. At dawn, neighbors noticed Dong's door ajar. Calling out, but hearing no answer, one neighbor entered, and immediately broke down crying. Blood stained the floors. Out back, near the well, the bodies of Yen and Huyen floated eerily in the murky water. Provincial police launched an intense investigation. Within a week, the killers were in custody. The trial amid the mountains. On August 27, 2011, an extraordinary court session convened at Hà Giang Economic and Technical School Stadium. Over 3,000 villagers attended, not out of curiosity, but to witness justice delivered. Nguyen Van De kept his head bowed, his eyes dead and cold. Nguyen Van Noi stood pale and silent. There were no denials, only empty, soulless confessions. The verdict: death penalty. The court sentenced Nguyen Van De, death for murder, 9 years for rape, 6 years for robbery, consolidated to death. Nguyen Van Noi, death for murder, 8 years for rape, 5 years for robbery, consolidated to death. They were also ordered to pay 210.6 million Vietnamese dongs, around $10.000 United States dollars, in compensation to the victim's family. The sentences were met with overwhelming approval from the people. A necessary ending, but one that could never undo the horrors wrought. Closing words, and an unanswered question. What drives a man to such monstrous cruelty? Was it alcohol, poverty, or was it festering jealousy and a lifetime void of love? Regardless of cause, the result remains: a shattered family, a lost childhood, and a wounded community forever scarred. Though more than a decade has passed, those who lived through that night still carry the nightmare in their hearts. The story ends here. Please leave your thoughts below. And before you go, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share to support the channel.